Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for signing on today's Amtrak Vacations 7 Bucket List Rail Journeys. I'm so excited to talk to you about some absolutely wonderful bucket list rail trips with Amtrak Vacations. There I am, your host, Jared Kettinger, and I'm here to talk to you all about some of our different products, some of the benefits of traveling on Amtrak, what the rooms even look like on the train. And feel free to type any questions that you have right into the questions box on the side of the GoToWebinar panel. I will make sure to take time at the end of the presentation for any Q&A. Also, you're going to want to hang on to the end of the presentation for two special reasons. One lucky webinar attendee will win a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card that I will announce the winner at the end of the presentation. Additionally, we will be having some exclusive attendee-only discounts for the presentation. So you're definitely going to want to hang on with me right up until the end. And we do have a couple of handouts that you can download right on the side of the GoToWebinar panel. So if you want any of those, please feel free to do so. Now, why travel with Amtrak Vacations? Well, number one, it's a bucket list experience. I can't tell you how many folks we've had that we've surveyed after they traveled with us, and the number one reason they went with us in the first place is that it was a bucket list experience. Room to roam with Amtrak, you can get up and walk around the train at your leisure. Go down to the cafe car, the dining car, or my personal favorite, the observation dome lounge. Less hassle. So good news, folks. If you did want to book an Amtrak vacations trip, all you have to do is call our very helpful call center at 1-800-268-7252, and they'll be able to put together any itinerary to fit your travel needs. City to city service. We travel from downtown city to downtown city, all throughout the USA and even up into Canada. Satisfying your hunger. When you travel on Amtrak and you have a sleeper compartment, either a roomette or bedroom, and I will be showing them later on in the presentation, all your meals are automatically included within the cost of the trip. All the meals on the train are already included within the cost. And then flexibility. You may see a package on this presentation or online on our website or even a brochure you might have received and looked at it and said, hey, this itinerary looks great, but I want to customize it to fit my travel needs. We can absolutely customize any trip to fit your travel style. Now, you may be saying, where can I start my rail vacation? Well, there's so many different stations all throughout the USA and Canada. We can get you going up from the most local hometown. And here's one of my favorite slides on the presentation. It's the Amtrak Vacations Systems Map. Everywhere you see a colorful squiggly line is a route that Amtrak travels on. Everywhere you see a star is a destination that Amtrak Vacations has a package going to, including hotel, sightseeing, attractions, and the train style. And folks, you are seeing that right. We do cross the border up into Canada. We cross up the border into Montreal, Niagara Falls, Toronto, and Vancouver. And we can even do cross-Canada via rail packages. Now, folks, did you know that there's over 500 different Amtrak stations to choose from? And a lot of our travelers, particularly those traveling on the long distance routes, will actually choose to fly to the first point of departure and home from the last point on the trip. Let me give you a hypothetical. Say you were going on our Empire Builder route that runs from Chicago all the way out across the top of the country out to Seattle. You may fly into Chicago O'Hare, board the train in Chicago, take the train out to Seattle, and fly home from SeaTac Airport to save yourself a little time and a little bit of money. And some of the major benefits of traveling on Amtrak. Number one, you're going to see the country by taking the train. You'll watch as the beauty of the United States and Canada just unfolds all around you. And of course, you can skip the traffic by taking the train because with Amtrak, there's no one ahead of you and no one behind you. And let me just ask you a question. You don't even have to answer it, but you can just answer it to yourself. Do you not like to fly? Because if you don't, we can be a wonderful alternative for your travel style. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I personally think this slide is worth 1,000,000 because what do you see out of the window of a plane? Clouds. Clouds look pretty much the same no matter where you're flying. while by the window of the train, you'll see the beautiful Pacific coastline, the great cities in North America like Chicago, or even the Denver Rocky Mountain Range right from the window of the train. Now we have several different travel styles, our most popular of which is the independent rail journeys. Those are the multi-city, multi-destinational trips traveling on the long-distance rail routes. Rail experiences, so packages that are more focused on the rail travel style and less on the destinational piece. Rail getaways, so quick 2, 3, maybe 4 more night stays in the major US or Canadian cities with sightseeing and attraction bundled together, and of course using the train to get there and to get home. Rail and sales. So yes, we Amtrak Vacations can do cruise packages, either on the Empire Builder traveling out Chicago all the way out to Seattle or Vancouver, or the Coast Starlight running from Los Angeles up the coast of California up into Seattle or Vancouver before boarding a Norwegian Alaskan cruise. And then custom rail journeys. I can't emphasize this enough. You may see a package on the presentation. You may see a package online. You may see a package in a brochure, and you think the itinerary looks great, but you want to add a couple of days in a city, or you've already been to a city, so you want to take out that city or not do as many days in that destination, or you may want to add extra tours in a place. We can customize any trip to fit your travel needs. And I hope everybody is all aboard as we jump in and start talking about some of the absolute phenomenal rail routes in the United States. One particular one is the Downeaster running from Boston up into Portland, Maine. And this fits perfectly with our New England fall foliage packages that does 3 nights in Boston before taking the Downeaster up into Portland for 2 nights in Portland. In Boston, during the 3-night stay there, we provide a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. That's one of those trolleys that travels out through the city, stopping at the major attractions all around Boston where you can get on and off the tour at your leisure. A sightseeing tour of historic Lexington and Concord. So you'll actually get to go on a very comfortable bus and travel all through Lexington and Concord and basically repeat the ride that Paul Revere took during the Revolutionary War, but from the comfort of a very comfortable bus. And then the tour ends in Cambridge, where you can explore Harvard University. And then it wouldn't be a fall foliage trip without a fall foliage tour included, which is our Sightseeing New England and Fall Foliage Tour, which runs from Boston out through central Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire along some of the most scenic fall foliage travel routes. And then, after leaving Boston on the Downeaster and going up into Portland, we have the sightseeing tour of the 5 historic Portland lighthouses. So it's a little trolley that'll travel all throughout downtown Portland, taking you to the 5 major historic lighthouses all around the city of Portland. And that is our New England fall foliage trip covering Boston and Portland, Maine. Now this next trip is fantastic because it hits the number 1, 2, and 3 most scenic rail routes voted in the United States on Amtrak. This departs from Chicago, doing 2 nights on the Empire Builder out to Seattle. Now, the Empire Builder was voted number 3 most scenic rail route in the country. You'll spend 1 night in Seattle before going overnight on the Coast Starlight, voted the number 1 most scenic rail route in the country. Spend 2 nights in San Francisco, and then board the California Zephyr, running back to Chicago, which was voted number 2 most scenic rail route in the country. So you hit the number 1, 2, and 3 all on one trip alone. In Seattle, we'll provide you with a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, as well as in San Francisco, and a tour of the giant redwoods out at Muir Woods and Sausalito, and a sightseeing cruise of San Francisco Bay. And that is our Northern Rail experience, again, hitting the top 3 most scenic rail routes in the United States, and with stops in Seattle and San Francisco along the way. Now, these next packages are great because they are not only packages that highlight scenic Amtrak routes, but they also highlight America's national parks. And so this is a huge draw for many people because it's a great experience to go out and see the national parks by rail. The first of which is Rocky Mountains to Arches and Canyonlands Getaway. This does 2 nights in Denver with a fully guided day tour out to Rocky Mountain National Park. So you'll have all the comfort of staying in a major U.S. city like Denver while still getting to go out and explore Rocky Mountain National Park. And again, that's a full day tour on a big, comfy motor coach bus that'll travel all throughout the Rocky Mountains. After that, 2 days in Denver, you'll board the California Zephyr, which actually also that train rides through the Denver Rockies, heading out to Grand Junction, Colorado for 2 nights in Grand Junction with a full day tour that covers both Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park all in one. So this is an absolutely phenomenal package hitting 3 major national park, Rocky Mountain National Park, Arches and Canyonlands as well. So it's a really wonderful package with a beautiful train ride from Denver out to Grand Junction. Then we have the Glacier National Park Express. Now, I did mention earlier that the independent rail journeys were our most popular types of packages. Well, folks, Glacier National Park is our top selling destination. The reason why? It's only 209 steps from the door of the Glacier Park station to the door of the Glacier Park Lodge. And so the Glacier Park Express is our top selling independent rail journey. This does 2 nights in Chicago before heading on the Empire Builder out to Glacier National Park and then finishing in Seattle. While in Chicago, we provide a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. In Glacier National Park, we include a full day tour of the Big Sky Circle Tour is what it's called. It's done in those historic 1930s red buses that travel all throughout the park. And you'll also get a morning boat cruise on a scenic and serene lake up in Glacier. And then in Seattle, we have admission to the Space Needle. So that is the Glacier National Park Express, our top selling independent rail journey. And then we have another multiple national park trip. This is our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. And people always get excited about this one because you hit 3 major national parks on one trip alone. This departs out of Chicago, going overnight on the California Zephyr out to Salt Lake City. You'll spend 1 night in Salt Lake City before transferring up to Yellowstone National Park for 2 nights in Yellowstone with a full day tour of Yellowstone National Park as well. And then after that, you'll return to Salt Lake and continue the California Zephyr overnight out to San Francisco for 2 nights in San Francisco with a full day tour out to Yosemite National Park. After Yosemite and San Francisco, you'll take the beautiful Coast Starlight route down to Los Angeles for 1 night in LA before going overnight on the Southwest Chief out to Williams, Arizona, which we use as our gateway to the Grand Canyon. So you'll spend 1 night in Williams. Then you'll take the historic Grand Canyon Railway train from Williams through the desert and Ponderosa Forest right into the south rim of the canyon. Now, what's great is you'll get off the Grand Canyon Railway train and immediately board a sightseeing tour of the South Rim. Meanwhile, your luggage is being handled right to your hotel room for you, so it's an out-of-sight, out-of-mind experience. You'll have your day tour of the Grand Canyon. After that, they drop you back at your hotel where your luggage is already placed in your room. You'll have that whole afternoon free as well as the next morning before boarding the Grand Canyon Railway train back out of the canyon to Williams and then heading overnight up into Chicago. Now, during the stay in Yellowstone, we provide a full day tour of Yellowstone's lower loop. Such big aspects of the tour include the Grand Prismatic Spring, which is one of those hot springs, as you can see featured here in the picture. You'll also get to see the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. Yes, folks, there's also a Grand Canyon up in Yellowstone as well, which is a giant canyon with a rushing waterfall running into a giant running river. It's quite a sight to see. And then, of course, you will get an opportunity to go see Old Faithful erupt. Now, when you're out in the San Francisco area, we use that as our gateway to Yosemite. So you'll have a full day tour of Yosemite National Park. The tour will take you out of San Francisco, across the Golden Gate Bridge, out to Yosemite National Park. Now, what's nice is you'll get a morning tour of Yosemite National Park, and then you actually get a couple hours of free time on your own. If you're a hiker, want to do a little hiking, you can do that. If you just want to grab a picnic lunch in the park, you could do that as well. All of that is free for you to choose. And then at the end of the day, we'll transport you back to San Francisco. And then you'll head down to LA and out to Williams in the Grand Canyon. And again, we do round trip service on the Grand Canyon Railway. This is based in coach accommodations. However, if you did want to upgrade on the Grand Canyon Railway for the ride into and out of the canyon, we have such spots as the first class on the Grand Canyon Railway, which are nice, big, comfy, plush seats with refreshments included, or even the observation dome, where it's a giant glass dome that goes all the way up to the roof. And then while staying in the south rim of the canyon, we provide a freedom tour of the Grand Canyon South Rim. That is the Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon all in one. Now, if you wanted just a smaller trip to see a national park, might I suggest the Grand Canyon Getaway round trip from Chicago. It's fairly simple. You'll depart out of Chicago or your most local hometown, but for here one, you'll go from Chicago overnight on the Southwest Chief down to Williams. You'll arrive in Williams, Arizona in the evening, and you'll get in just in time for bedtime. So check into the hotel. The next morning, you'll wake up, have a nice hearty breakfast at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel. Then you'll take that Grand Canyon Railway train into the canyon. And again, it's just like the package I described before. You'll get into the canyon, you'll get off the Grand Canyon Railway train, and immediately board a sightseeing tour of the south rim of the canyon while your luggage is handled to your room. Then you'll be brought back to your hotel room at the end of the tour. You have that afternoon free as well as the next morning. And then the Grand Canyon Railway train goes back to Williams. You'll actually have one more night in Williams with a dinner included right at the hotel. And then the next day, you'll take the Southwest Chief back up to Chicago. So that was the Grand Canyon Getaway round trip from Chicago. But again, folks, like I said, we can customize any of these trips to fit your travel needs. So even if it means not coming from Chicago, but maybe coming from your most local hometown, that's all possible. Now, I'm very excited to announce that we now have added packages that will highlight Bryce National Park, Zion National Park, and Capitol Reef National Park. And in this particular package, we combine it with the Grand Canyon as well, but that isn't always necessary. If you just want to do Bryce and Zion and Capitol Reef just as their own, we could always do that as well. But this package departs out of Los Angeles, going overnight on the Southwest Chief. You'll head down into Williams and transfer from Williams on the Grand Canyon Railway into the south rim of the canyon. It's just like before. You'll get off the tour, the train rather. You'll be in the south rim, board the tour of the south rim, and have the afternoon free and spend one night in the south rim. However, what will happen from here is that a private SUV, either a Cadillac Escalade or a Chevy Suburban with your own private tour guide, will pick you up from the Grand Canyon South Rim the next day and drive you up into Lake Powell. You'll have a little time in the beautiful Lake Powell. I'll show you that in a second. Before taking the transfer continued up into Zion National Park for a full tour of Zion. After that, you'll be transferred to Springdale, Utah, and have one night in Springdale at a hotel that includes breakfast. The next day after spending the night in Springdale, that same driver and that same SUV will pick you up from Springdale and drive you up to Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef National Parks. And you'll have a full tour of Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef before finishing that transfer in the Escalade or the Suburban up into Grand Junction for one night in Grand Junction before taking the California Zephyr out to San Francisco for one night in San Francisco, and then finishing the route down in LA. And as before, we include the sightseeing tour of the Grand Canyon, as well as a one-way and coach accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway, or you could upgrade to a first class or maybe even the observation dome. After the night in the canyon, we take you out to Lake Powell on your way out to Springdale, Utah. And if you ever wanted to know why someone wants to go to Lake Powell, here's a great example of the beauty that's at Lake Powell. From there, you'll continue on to Zion National Park, an absolutely phenomenal national park, very popular, and Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef National Parks as well, before ending in Grand Junction in San Francisco. So this is the national parks of the Southwest, the Grand Canyon and beyond, combining the Grand Canyon, Lake Powell, Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park, and Capitol Reef National Park as well. Now, we don't just do national parks, we also can do quick city getaways such as Niagara Falls, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, New York City. Such examples would be the New York City Ultimate Getaway that does 3 nights hotel accommodations in New York with a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour all throughout the city, and the New York City Pass, including multiple excursions and activities all throughout New York. We have the Washington, D.C. Getaway, which does 3 nights hotel accommodations with a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour and admission to either the International Spy Museum or the Newseum. We can even do San Francisco on its own with the San Francisco Ultimate Getaway with 3 nights hotel accommodations, a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of San Francisco, a San Francisco City Pass, and dinner at a popular local restaurant right down on Pier 39. So those are some just quick getaways if you wanted to just do like a long weekend or take the train to one of the major U.S. cities. We can, of course, handle that just the same. Now, one common question is, if I'm going on these trips, how much luggage should I carry with me? Well, you're allowed 2 carry-ons of up to 50 pounds each and 2 check bags of up to 50 pounds each, and that is per person, and that is completely free. Also, we get quite often, when should I get to the station? Well, with the airline, as we know, you usually have to get to the airport 2-3 hours ahead of time. With Amtrak, you can even get there up to an hour to 45 minutes ahead of time, and that's normally what we suggest, getting there 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time. And there's no long TSA lines to worry about. If you get there 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time, you should be safe to board the train. And we'll take a few minutes to talk about the onboard accommodations on Amtrak, and then I'll, of course, open the floor to some Q&A, and of course, the special discount offers and even the gift card award winner will be announced as well. Now, with coach accommodations, coach is very comfortable on Amtrak. As you can see by the picture, there is plenty of room. And what I like best is there's no pesky middle seat the way there is on an airline with Amtrak. Just a very comfortable window seat and a very comfortable aisle seat with a nice big picture window to enjoy the sights out of. Again, plenty of leg room with a leg rest that'll kick up, a tray table that will fold down, and plenty of room above head for your luggage. Now, if you're traveling overnight and you want a sleeper, the first step up from coach to a sleeper car is the roomette, which during the day it's its own little cabin with 2 big plush seats, a big picture window to enjoy the sights out of, a tray table that'll fold down, a door that will shut and lock with blinds that will go over the windows for privacy if you need to do so. And then at night, as you can see by the diagram, everything folds down to bunk style sleeping accommodations. Now, one might say, Jarrett, where's the bathroom? Well, with the roomette, the bathrooms are down the hall. There's 4 bathrooms to every roomette car, and only those staying in that roomette car can actually utilize those bathrooms. However, if you absolutely did want to have your own private bathroom in the room itself, the next level up is the sleeper bedroom, which is a little bit bigger of a room. It has a long couch and a reclining chair, a big picture window to enjoy the sights out of, a tray table that will fold down, and its own bathroom in the room itself. It's still bunk style sleeping accommodations, but that bathroom is only for yours to use. And then, as I stated before, on the majority of the routes, as long as you have a sleeper compartment on the train included, all your meals are included with a full menu of options that we can make to order, and it's basically like a rolling restaurant is how we refer to it. Now, if you did want to do a little bit of quick research, you can always go on our website at amtrakvacations.com. Simply click on the destinations tab. A little tab will come down with, whether you want to travel the East Coast, West Coast, national parks, cruises, whatever you want to do. So you can do that. Now, how to book us? Well, like I said, you can do some research on us at amtrakvacations.com. You can call your local travel agent if there's a travel agent you prefer to work with. We work with travel agents all the time. That's not a problem. Or if you just want to call us directly, you can call us at 1-800-268-7252 and talk with one of our friendly vacation consultants to put together a trip for you. Now, some everyday discounts because people like to travel, but they also like to save a little bit as well. Seniors 65 and older will receive a 10% discount on the rail portion of a package. Children age 2 to 12 will receive half off the rail portion of an Amtrak package. And then any active military personnel, spouses, and dependents will receive a 10% discount on the rail portion of an Amtrak package. Now, just for you webinar attendees, we have a special upgrade offer, and this is coming to an email inbox near you. So what it is if you book us with an upgrade to either a roomette or bedroom by August 29th, you can go into your email, get your voucher, and we will save you $50 per person or up to $100 per couple off the top of the package by booking us with an upgraded sleeper car on the train by August 29th. Now, the voucher is only good till August 29th, so you're going to want to give us a call right before then. Now I will open the floors to some questions. I know some of you have already typed the questions in, and if you haven't yet, feel free to. And I will then after that, I will announce the lucky $100 gift card winner. Someone asked, does Amtrak allow dogs less than 20 pounds to travel with us? I do believe certain routes they do. Amtrak Vacations doesn't really have much to do with any animal travel, so you would have to check those parameters directly with Amtrak themselves. Someone asked about a meal being only one meal included on one of our itineraries that I showed previously. So like I said, as long as you travel with a sleeper compartment, the meals are included on the majority of the trips. Now, that isn't always factored into what the itineraries say, so don't let that alarm you. Most of the meals, however, when you're actually at the destinations, say San Francisco, if you go on a San Francisco getaway, you would most of the time pay out of pocket for your own meals. So we don't give you a meal every single day of your trip. It's just when you're traveling on the train with an upgraded to a roomette or bedroom. Now, we occasionally will include a voucher for a good restaurant in one of the major cities, such as San Francisco, include one dinner at a restaurant on Pier 39, but the rest of the time, the meals are out of pocket. So I hope that kind of answered the question for you. Does a bedroom have a larger window than a roomette? The bedrooms themselves are larger. The windows, those are actually pretty much the same size. It might be a tad bit bigger, but I've seen the windows of a bedroom and windows of a roomette, and they're pretty much the same. So someone asked if I'm traveling in coach, do we Amtrak Vacations or Amtrak offer a meal plan? Unfortunately not. The meals would have to be out of pocket, either from the cafe car or the dining car. Someone asked about a AAA or AARP discount. So as of right now, the only discounts that we can provide are the senior, active military, and child. Amtrak previously had a AAA discount, but they recently removed it. But seniors, 65 and older, children 2 to 12, and then any active military personnel can get it. So someone asked about having a single accommodation for a roomette. You can, if you're just a single traveler going on your own, that's no problem. You just purchase the roomette, and it's your roomette for the duration of the time you're in it. No one else would be sharing it with you. The coach seats are first come, first serve. So you would just board the train. There's no pre-assigned seating like there is on an airline. With Amtrak, you'll have a seat in coach. You're guaranteed a seat in coach. You board the train, and you sit wherever you so choose. You just pick a seat in the coach section. And that seems like it's the end of the questions. So thank you, folks, for attending today. And I'm really, someone did ask. Somebody asked about going from East Glacier, which we featured in the presentation, up into Canada. So yes, you absolutely can go up on the train out to Glacier. However, to get up into Canada, you would either have to continue on the train route out to Seattle and then cut up through Vancouver to board the Via Rail, or you would have to just simply get a rental car in East Glacier and then drive up across the border. There isn't a train connection from Glacier up into Canada. Oh, I guess there are more questions coming in. Someone's asking about accessible accommodations. So yes, there are ADA accessible rooms on the lower level of the train. Now those usually go really fast because people, there's only so many and people need them. And so if you do have an ADA requirement, please book with us ASAP. Someone asked if I have a roomette or bedroom, can I have my meals in my room? Yes, you absolutely can. In fact, there is a train car attendant to every roomette car and every bedroom car. And so when it comes time for lunch, dinner, what have you, the train car attendant will come around and see what time you wanted to have dinner, what reservation you wanted to make, or when they come around, you can just say, hey, I'd rather have my dinner in my room, and tell them when you'd want it, and they would help you out with that. Someone asked, is there a smoking area? There is no smoking areas on the train. You would have to, if you do smoke, you would have to do it at one of the stops along the way, and they will announce how long the train has stopped at each stop, so then you can use your best judgment about getting off the train. Someone asked if you have a roomette, will we be able to go out in a coach class? Yes, you absolutely can. You're not confined to your roomette the way you're confined to a seat on an airline. With Amtrak, you can walk around the train at your leisure. And so if you're in a roomette and you want to go out and find a open coach seat, you absolutely have the ability. Bedrooms are on each side of the train. So the bedrooms are all around the train. There's not just one set way. Any other questions? All right. If there's no other questions, I'm happy to announce the winner of the $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. That is Wayne Boston. So Wayne, congratulations. Oh, so Wayne, I hope you stick with us, but I guess we have a couple more questions coming in. Bedrooms, not all bedrooms are always there's like one or two on the bottom, but most of them are always on the top. And the Viewliner doesn't have a full bathroom in the room. The bathroom is still down the hall. So that looks like the end of the questions today. So I want to thank you folks for joining. And everyone keep your eye out for your email, because you're all going to be getting a $100 voucher. Again, if you upgrade by August 29th to a sleeper compartment on the train for one of our packages, you can save up to $100. And then Wayne, you will get a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card as well in your email. So thank you, everybody, and have a nice day.